Man, there's nothing better on a gloomy day than a warm, a good blanket, a warm, man, give me some damn pumpkin brisk.
No one ever imagined Ice Cube's story would take a turn like this. For decades, he stood as an unshakable force in hip-hop. But behind the fame, a far heavier burden was quietly building. Now at 56, the truth hits harder than his fiercest lyrics. How did one of rap's most legendary icons face a tragedy no one saw coming? And why is the world only now seeing the weight he's carried all these years? Join us as we uncover the shocking reality Ice Cube has been living through at 56. Caught in a social media storm. No one thought Ice Cube would find himself in the middle of a controversy like this. It all began with a single post on X that sparked outrage across the hip-hop world. A political commentator claimed that the rap subgenre known as gangsta rap was not a product of black culture at all. According to the post, the music was part of a federal agenda designed to weaken black communities, creating false idols from carefully chosen figures. The claim instantly went viral, drawing both criticism and disbelief from fans and artists alike. The world watched as Ice Cube, a hip-hop veteran with over 3 decades of experience, stepped into the storm. He clarified that the genre he helped pioneer had always been called reality rap. The stories came from the streets and from the lives of the communities he rapped about. The term gangsta rap had been coined by the industry, not the artists themselves. Fans wanted the music, and he gave them exactly what they asked for. Cube made it clear that the idea of federal interference in his lyrics was absurd. He was a real MC, telling real stories, and nothing about his work had been dictated by outside forces. But the controversy came at a time when Cube was already ruminating on the evolution of hip-hop and the dangers of public feuds. He believes that today's rap beefs are far more volatile than those in his early days. Back then, diss tracks remained mostly within the hip-hop community. Today, every insult, every feud, spreads across the world instantly. Social media amplifies every slight, and the risk of escalation is far higher. What used to be a musical exchange can now spiral into real-world consequences. Cube has always believed that if an artist enters a beef, they cannot hold back. Half measures are dangerous. You must go all the way. He compared it to a fight, that once you throw a punch, it must count. Anything less could be even more damaging for the artist and for those around them. His perspective comes not from bravado, but from decades of experience navigating the rap industry, where the stakes are high and the audience is always watching. But for a man who always gave everything to create the music his fans craved and fiercely defended the image of rap, what happens when those same fans turn their backs and do it in the most shocking way imaginable? The moment fans turned on a legend. Ice Cube once moved fans with a voice that echoed the world's realities, but the same fans who once praised his honesty seemed to turn on him overnight, and everything shifted the moment his new Man Up video hit the internet. The trouble began after a short clip from his song Act My Age started circulating online. In the video, Ice Cube and Scarface appeared with baby-like edits, bonnets, onesies, the whole thing, as they rapped about ageism in the music industry. The duo called for real lyricists and made it clear they weren't slowing down. But instead of applause, the clip sparked jokes and a flood of comments telling Cube he should finally hang the mic up. One user posted the video with a caption claiming it proved rappers needed to know when to quit. The post spread fast across X, and the criticism followed just as quickly. Viewers mocked the visuals, questioned the concept, and called the whole thing nonsense. Comments rolled in. People asked why grown men had to dress as kids. Others begged Ice Cube to stop, and longtime fans wondered what happened to the same duo who once made powerful tracks.
No, you gotta go all out, full speed, make sure you give it your best shot.
Like Hand of the Dead Body. Ice Cube, now 56, didn't let the insults go unanswered. He fired back publicly, saying he would never quit because a random critic told him to. He accused the commenter of losing their sense of humor and told them to stay out of his business. But his response didn't quiet the criticism. It exposed even more of it. As more people weighed in, reactions split sharply. Some declared the video one of the best and worst of the year, while others said it was a mess from two artists they grew up admiring. Still, not everyone joined the backlash. A rising wave of supporters defended the rap icon, pointing out how strange it was for critics to tell a Hall of Fame legend
one in high school, one in college, one in the pros. You can't.
What to do. They argued that the internet had become too entitled, too quick to try controlling artists, and too obsessed with what they believed someone's legacy should look like. Fans praised Cube for clapping back. They said people simply couldn't handle seeing someone thriving in their 50s. They condemned the idea of forcing artists into quiet retirement just because of age. And when Ice Cube posted a photo from a show on his Truth to Power tour, a sea of fans cheering as loud as ever, he made his message clear. 4 decades in, the love was still strong. For someone whose driving force has always been his fans, this criticism struck deep. But his reaction wasn't what anyone expected. Were his fans truly his muse all along? How Ice Cube broke away and became unstoppable. Ice Cube literally stormed into the music scene when he appeared with NWA, a group boldly calling itself Niggas with Attitudes. He joined forces with Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, MC Ren, and DJ Yella to create a sound America had never heard before. Their debut album, Straight Outta Compton, arrived in 1988 and hit the country like an earthquake. The lyrics exposed life in poor black neighborhoods with a blunt honesty the industry wasn't ready for. Before NWA, no one on the West Coast dared to tell these raw stories, and nothing caused more shock than their explosive track, The Police. The song was so intense that the FBI sent them a warning letter, accusing them of misrepresenting law enforcement.
Case Bill, I'm telling you, I like your show, I like you, but I think this is a teachable moment.
And hinting that if their music caused violence, the group would be held responsible. But NWA refused to back down. They performed the song anyway, which helped cement their new title, the world's most dangerous group. But behind the scenes, something far more dangerous was brewing: betrayal. Ice Cube had written almost 90% of the group's debut album, and even penned most of Eazy-E's breakout project, Eazy Does It Yet. Despite being the main writer, Cube wasn't getting paid what he was owed. As the tension grew, he realized the situation wasn't going to change. In 1989, he walked away from NWA, and the breakup sent shockwaves through the fan base. People doubted him. NWA was on top of the world, and many believed Ice Cube wouldn't survive without them. Sure, they knew he could write, but being a solo star was a different challenge. How far could he go on his own? Determined to prove everyone wrong, Cube signed with Priority Records and took a bold step.
I think it was Richmond. I said, man, it's raw over there, you know what I mean? They get down over there. And
he left the West Coast entirely and headed to New York City to record his first solo album. He wanted Dr. Dre to produce it, but their fallout meant that would never happen. Instead, Cube linked up with Sir Jinx, Dre's cousin, and they started shaping the early tracks. Cube brought stacks of notebooks filled with lyrics he had once planned for NWA and Eazy-E. Now, those lines were fuel for his own future. Still, something was missing. Cube needed a harder and more aggressive sound to match his writing. That's when he turned to the Bomb Squad, the legendary production team behind Public Enemy's biggest hits. Their style, dense layers of samples and chaotic energy, was exactly what Cube needed. The collaboration clicked instantly. On May 6, 1990, KKK's Most Wanted dropped, shaking the rap world and announcing Ice Cube's arrival in full force. But what made this album hit so hard with fans, and how does it compare to the music he's making today? The moment Hollywood took notice, KKK's Most Wanted became one of the strongest debut albums ever released, and it instantly revealed who Ice Cube truly was when he operated at full power. The project made it clear that he had been the driving force inside NWA all along. More importantly, it proved he was a naturally gifted MC, someone who could deliver sharp effortless bars the moment he stepped into a verse. The intro track, "The Nigga You Love to Hate," set the tone. The opening lines hit like a punch, raw and aggressive, signaling that Cube wasn't holding anything back. He still spoke about life in the streets, but he expanded into deeper themes, like why more black teenagers were behind bars than in college, what a day in the projects looked like, and the reality of police violence. But nothing sparked more controversy than his portrayal of women. Women's groups across the country went after him for using derogatory words, and Cube even labeled himself the bitch killer in a track. Another bold choice came when he used racially charged audio from Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, specifically the scene where a character shouted out racist names for black people. All of this combined into an album that landed like a home run and made it impossible to ignore. After the album dropped, Cube followed it with an EP, Kill at Will. But by the time the next year approached, he was preparing for something entirely different: the big screen. In 1991,
I always break it down like, it's a third of what I've been through.
he landed the role of Doughboy in John Singleton's Boys and the Hood. The film followed a group of young men in south-central Los Angeles, so Cube's background made him a natural fit for the role. He played Doughboy with ease, giving a performance that felt real because he understood that world firsthand. The film went on to become a cultural landmark, marking Cube's arrival as a genuine movie star. By then, Cube had undergone his own transformation. He had considered converting to Islam, and with the birth of his first son, he began seeing both life and his community through a more political lens. This shift pushed him toward a new direction for his next album. On October 29, 1991, he released Death Certificate, an explosive double-sided project produced mainly by Cube and Jinx. The first half, the death side, examined the problems facing the black community. The second half, the life side, explored solutions and the possibility of growth. Cube didn't soften his approach. He stayed dangerous and unfiltered. Even the album cover caused a stir. Cube stood in a morgue beside a dead white man tagged as Uncle Sam. But just how far would he go when his music started sparking outrage and threatening to get him banned worldwide? The album that nearly got Ice Cube banned worldwide. Ice Cube's anger intensified after his second album. On nearly every track, he sounded like a man ready to explode. He confronted the rise of STDs in the community, called out rappers he felt were selling out, including MC Hammer, and defended the right to bear arms. But two songs stood above the rest, stirring a storm that would chase Cube across the country. One was Black Korea, a track fueled by the death of 15-year-old Latasha Harlins, who had been shot by a Korean store owner in 1991. Cube used the song to voice the frustration and fear of being black in a store where you were treated like a threat the moment you walked in. But he took it further, so far that the backlash was instant. He was accused of being racist, especially because he rapped about harming and even killing Chinese people. The controversy grew so loud that it overshadowed anything else he said on the album. Then came the track that shook hip-hop's foundation, No Vaseline. Cube ignored NWA on America's Most Wanted, but once they fired a shot at him on a later track, he went into the studio with a different energy.
Teach people to not be so materialistic, you know what I mean? It's not really all about.
One that had a target. He directed every word with precision, aiming at MC Ren, Eazy-E, their manager Jerry Heller, and anyone he felt had betrayed him. The song was raw enough to end friendships and strong enough to become one of the greatest diss tracks ever created. Death Certificate pushed boundaries so far that stores across America banned it. Even the United Kingdom refused to carry it. Yet none of the controversy slowed Cube down. The album still rose to number 2 on the Billboard 200, proving that people were captivated. By 1992, Cube entered another pivotal moment in his career. The Predator, his third album, was his final project in what many saw as his most dangerous artistic era. Produced by Cube, Jinx, and a select few collaborators, the album released on November 17, 1992. It carried the same unfiltered force as his earlier work, but now with a sharper focus. This time, his voice echoed during one of the tensest periods in Los Angeles history. The Predator debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200.
You know, hopefully he'll come out better on the other side.
When you saw some of the crazier things he was saying, the anti-Semitic statements he was making
it his most commercially successful release. And it was easy to see why. Cube delivered more socially charged songs, tracks that hit just as hard as anything he had released before. We had to tear this motherfucker up, address the officers who beat Rodney King, who got the camera painted the terrifying picture of a black man assaulted by police, echoing real life more closely than most listeners were comfortable admitting. But the biggest surprise came from a song that had nothing to do with violence, drugs, or injustice. It Was a Good Day told a rare, gentle story. Cube walking through a peaceful day with no chaos. He said, "Days like that barely happened in the hood." And maybe that's why the song connected so deeply. It offered a glimpse of the life people wished they could have every day. With that song and the success of The Predator, Cube officially crossed over. And this time, it wasn't controversy that pushed him forward. It was the quiet truth inside a simple good day. Shockingly, Ice Cube's music wasn't the only controversial thing about him. What could be more scandalous than his music? Beyond the music, the controversy, and the life. No one expected Ice Cube's life to be so full of controversies and influence beyond music. While most remember him as a rap pioneer and star of NWA, few know the full story behind his beliefs, family life, and ongoing public debates. In 1990, Ice Cube was introduced to the Nation of Islam through a musical connection in Public Enemy. He converted to Islam but never formally joined the organization, insisting he followed his own conscience as a natural Muslim. Though he embraced black nationalist ideas popular in the hip-hop community, he consistently stressed that his spiritual path was personal, guided by his relationship with God alone. Over the years, Cube's faith evolved. By 2017, he had openly admitted that he might explore multiple religions in his lifetime, including Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism, and that he appreciated lessons from each. Outside of his spiritual journey, Cube built a solid family life. He married Kimberly Woodruff in April 1992, and together they raised 4 children. His oldest, O'Shea Jackson Jr., followed in his father's footsteps, portraying him in the critically acclaimed film Straight Outta Compton Ice Cube.
He would always let me know, in all these auditions, you got to pump that nobody knows him in and out.
Often spoke about teaching his children to question media portrayals of violence, ensuring they could distinguish between real life and entertainment. His family grew even larger when O'Shea Jackson Jr. welcomed a child in 2017, making Cube a grandfather. Cube's interests extended far beyond music and film. In 2017, he launched Big 3, a professional 3-on-3 basketball league featuring former NBA stars. He has long been a passionate supporter of sports, particularly the Las Vegas Raiders, whose imagery and history intertwined with NWA's branding in the late 80s and 90s. He also cheered for the Los Angeles Dodgers and Lakers, performing at major events like the Dodgers' 2024 World Series celebration. Yet, alongside his success, controversy has never been far away. In 1991, Cube endorsed a Nation of Islam book falsely claiming European Jews dominated the Atlantic slave trade, sparking accusations of anti-Semitism. His song No Vaseline included lyrics targeting former NWA members and their manager, using racial and religious slurs that intensified the debate. Over time, he clarified that his critiques were directed at individuals, not entire groups, and he consistently described himself as pro-black rather than anti-anyone. Still,
I wish I was better at, handyman stuff,
I can't do anything.
Critics continue to scrutinize his statements, including his promotion of Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan and various conspiracy theories in recent years. Cube maintains he is simply telling his truth while defending his focus on advocating for his community. Ice Cube's life has always been larger than music alone. From shaping hip-hop culture to enduring public scrutiny, his story intertwines family, faith, sports, and politics in ways few expected. Behind every controversy, There's a man defining his own path while staying unflinching in his beliefs. How will Ice Cube's legacy be remembered? As a musical revolutionary, a cultural provocateur, or something even more complex? And as the world continues to watch, will his influence continue to spark conversation or ignite conflict? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.